I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Takara Moonstar joins us. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello everybody. My name is Takara Moonstar. I am the Starbird Drow VTuber and voice actress. I run a in-lore tavern and boudoir. I do mainly variety of content, but I also run my own esports team that mainly does Marvel Rivals.
That's cool. That's cool. Radio content, huh?
A variety content.
Oh, variety content. Others said radio content. I was like, wow, you're not making any money.
No variety.
No, I did radio for
I
a long time, and I know
I
you
can
make money
do one
there.
thing.
Yeah. So, how long have you been doing the VTuber stuff?
Uh, as Takara Moonstar, I've been doing it since last August, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing content creation. I think we've hit 6 years just now.
Mm-hmm. So you're a veteran of the wars.
A
As,
little bit.
yeah. Yeah. Was it easier for you to switch over to do the VTuber type of streaming, or was it just as comfortable as doing what you were doing before?
So I was mainly doing just faceless content, so it wasn't that big of a shift
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to do VTubing so it would add a face to a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I I didn't understand what I was doing. I was still like getting my footing in the terms of content creation because I was just kind of figuring everything out and just kind of raw dogging it a little.
Yeah.
But now the more time that I spend doing this, I learn from each of my mistakes and learning from other creators who kind of help coach and point out what I can do better because I always overanalyze what I do. So it's very important for me to get input from other people. And, I just really enjoy doing what I do.
Yeah, it's good to get the constructive input from folks that have kind of been there before, and you can trust them, and they have constructive things to say rather than just give it up, that type of thing. Um, has it been easy for you once you got started to gain an audience? Were they folks that came over from your previous work?
It wasn't too drastic of a shift once I went from VTubing. They're just like, oh, okay, same old content, same stuff. I mean, back then I was doing just Valorant and Dead by Daylight. So over time, I definitely have changed a lot of what I usually do.
Hmm.
I
And
think it's the voice acting that really has its own separate audience because the people who come from the voice acting don't really come for the Twitch and vice versa. I mean, some people still will like interact with it and talk to me about it. However, I think it's like two completely separate worlds
mm,
of what I'm doing in
yeah,
terms of that.
yeah, it is, and it is. But do you find that one kind of plays off the other as far as honing your skills goes?
I would say for voice acting, it's kind of a different thing in different mentality because if I'm given a project, I'll sit there and like let's say I have to emulate Tifa from Final Fantasy.
Mm,
It'll just be a random time in the day. I'll sit there, listen to how Tifa sounds for like 15 minutes, repeat her lines back to myself, record what I got to record, however long that takes, and then go by my day versus streaming because I do have a job outside of VTubing.
mm,
I'm a waitress, and my schedule is not usually very static. It's just, whatever's available.
right.
With streaming, it's just like, okay, whenever I have the evenings off and whenever I have the chance to just sit down for a few hours and, talk to my community and just showcase what game interests me that day.
Mm. So, do you ever use the voices while you're waitressing?
A little bit because I'm from Florida, so the restaurant that I serve it's a little bit more like southern.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really do like impressions, but I go a little more southern with the voice a little bit like, "Hey y'all, welcome in. What could I get y'all?" That's
Ye-
probably about like the extent I do, but I
Yeah.
sound a little bit more cheery, but other than that, I don't really use my voice acting skills when I'm waitressing.
I imagine there's been times though when you've had to use your patience skills.
A lot,
Yeah, yeah,
especially waitressing,
yeah,
uh, quite often.
yeah. You folks go through way too much for the pay you're getting. It's it was really ridiculous. But when did you learn that you wanted to do some voice work, or was it kind of they noticed your voice and said you ought to do this?
Um, well, I mean, a few times. So I started VTubing because of Cottontail VA. I was
Hmm.
back when I was still just a faceless Valorant content creator. I watched this other creator named Schrodinger Lee who showcased Cottontail,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, she seems cool." And so I followed her content. I'm like, "Oh, she does voice acting too."
Hmm.
And so I think I did VTubing for about a year, or
Hmm.
I was like in the process of creating a VTuber for like a year before I eventually was like, you know what? I should do voice. I think I started doing voice acting actually 2 years ago.
Mm,
Now that I think about it, it's like 2 years ago.
yeah. How did you jump into it, or did you just start
I
sending out
had,
tapes or tapes?
so I was introduced to it by somebody else,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, oh yeah, actually, there's animations and stuff, and there's like, uh, animators that you could talk to or comic artists. If you just ask them, like, hey, can I voice this? Sometimes they'll say yes, sometimes they'll say no, or they just don't respond and I just don't proceed with the project. But yeah, most of the time they just say yes. I did for a period of time. He is busy right now, but the editor who usually does like a good chunk of my content, his name is Random Tide.
Hmm.
What we usually do is I'll tell Random Tide like, hey, there's these characters I really like. Like I really want to voice some new Marvel Rivals content since the game just came out
Right.
and blah blah blah. I like doing Rainbow Six Siege or whatever game I'm interested in doing at the time.
Yeah.
And he'll send me a batch of animations that creators have approved for me to use.
Wow.
And I'll send my batch of voice content, and then slowly videos will get produced.
Wow. That's so 21st century. When I started in radio in like
Efficient.
1983, so we didn't have any of that stuff. There wasn't any. It wasn't even any email, let alone being able to send things back and forth without using audio
Google
tape,
Docs.
audio tape, and sending it through the actual snail mail and hope nobody used a magnetic device on it by the time between got between here and there. We didn't have any of that stuff way back then, but it has become a situation now, and with this medium and with the internet, that you don't even have to leave home if you have a good setup, and you can be part of so many projects.
Yeah, it's really nice because I get to connect with so many people around the world.
Hmm.
I actually made a few friends in England that I just visited last week.
Oh, cool.
And it's just so crazy that, you know, these were creators I looked up to and now they're my friends. And
Hmm.
it's so crazy just to like step back and think about like these are all random people that I met on the internet and now they're my friends.
And now, with when you're doing the streaming, you have random people from all over the world that are coming to be entertained by you.
It's it's like I said, it's just insane to think about because to me, it's like you're sitting in a room talking about something, and then there's people standing around you listening to what you have to say or whatever you're doing at a party.
Yeah.
That's how I think of it. Like, okay, people want to listen to what I have to say or whatever random silly shit I'm doing.
It is kind of if you start thinking about it too much, you start throwing yourself into the hole. Like, oh my gosh, so many people are watching, and I don't know who they are, and I don't know the responses. Was it easy for you to when you started streaming way back to have that live audience?
I would say not as easily because it was kind of more just my friends watching me stream.
Hmm.
I was part of a now defunct Discord server of another Dead by Daylight content creator.
Hmm.
I made a bunch of friends in there and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try Twitch streaming. And this was like way back in the day. All I had was my PlayStation and a dream.
Yeah.
And I just would pull up my computer, just pull up my chat, and then just hit go live on PlayStation and just basically just talking to my friends, and they just gave random input while I streamed Dead
Yeah.
by Daylight, screaming and losing.
I bet those screams sounded real good on that microphone.
It was so crunchy. It was some Walmart microphone. That sounded so terrible.
But back in the day, our equivalent was the Radio Shack microphones.
Radio Shack.
Yeah.
It's such a throwback.
Oh, it is. Then you could actually get sound out of it. It may not be the sound you wanted, but it was
But
going to
there was
be. There
sound.
was sound when you got done with it. But what type of microphone are you using now? Have you got some
I'm
real special
using
gear?
a Rode NT1.
Nice.
I moved to the big girl microphones.
Ooh. Yeah, I the microphone depends on what you need it for, and I hope people will start learning about microphones and and not buying crowd mics for their stuff.
I was kind of just getting by on whatever mic worked, but
Yeah,
then I eventually had to make the jump to a more expensive microphone because I was doing more and more voice work, and they're like, "You sound very, very quiet." And I'm like, I am grunting as loud as I humanly can into this microphone. I don't know why it's coming out so quiet. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy because too many people were saying like, my microphone was too quiet. So I
yeah,
just decided to make the jump and just get a new one
yeah,
and just buy the Rode NT1. It was too much work to
yeah.
set this thing up because I didn't know you had to set up a phantom power for it.
Mm,
I needed different cords for it. It
yeah.
was it
It's
was a mess. But you know what? At least it's up and working now.
oh yeah. I mean, it's not easy to drive a Cadillac either, but once you get the hang of it, you're pretty happy.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's the Sennheisers and that type are they are precious jewels that you must keep very very well. As opposed to what I'm using, which is basically one step up from the old Radio Shack microphone. But the you also have to learn the frequency response. If you're doing voice work, you're going to need more than just a regular talk microphone because you're going to need higher and lower responses. For me, I'm pretty monotone, um, pretty much in the slightly lower middle part of the thing. And a microphone, I don't really need a super, microphone that flies and, slices, dices, and makes julienne fries. I don't need that for me. And most streamers don't, but you've got a situation where you're trying to do some pro stuff. You're going to need that pro mic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How does your do you have baffling up on your walls?
Nope.
Mm.
I I've yet to make the jump to do that yet.
Mm. Yeah, it actually
I
doesn't.
want to
It
be able
doesn't.
to set up like a booth almost like set
Yeah,
up like that, but it's just kind of like, well, I don't have enough space to really do that.
mm,
And then on top of it, I don't think I'm really at the level as a voice actor to really be doing all of that because right now, I mean, my recordings are fine enough.
yeah,
So far, I have yet to be told, yeah, I think you need to add the sound absorption yet. So we're kind of just coasting by, make it till I break it.
well, I tell you, you got a really good voice for it, so it should.
Thank you.
The more will come. Uh, don't worry about that. And you found a secret in that keeping your voice out there, and you never know who's going to listen.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's got a project and they say, "Oh, that's the perfect voice for what I want to do," or I believe they can do that voice, then they'll come after you after a while. They'll if you throw yourself out there enough, somebody will either put a restraining order on you, or they'll come after you and want to put you on in their show. I've interviewed a lot of people who have gone to blind auditions and gotten parts where they didn't even know what they were reading for, and ended up with some really good parts in
I
anime
definitely
and
need to do
such.
auditions more. It's probably the one thing that I'm probably not doing enough is auditions because right now I'm just kind of I haven't been doing a lot of VA work as of the past month, but I'm hoping to change that now that it's summer
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well,
I can
it's going to be
do more
depending on
auditions.
yeah, it depends on real life time and what you can do too. I mean, stupid real life getting in the way of things. Um, but it's I think that you definitely have the instrument for it, so Something good's going to happen out of that. I have no doubt. Um, with that, have you used that your voice before in stage productions or singing or anything like that?
I used to be in theater when I
Mm-hmm.
was in middle school.
Mm.
Nothing really major. It was Princess and the Pea and Into the Woods Junior, way, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And then before that, I was classically trained as a singer.
Whoa.
I did some voice lessons, did a little bit of Italian opera, but I didn't really do any like singing performances other than like middle school choir. I stopped doing public stuff when I was around high school
Mm.
because the teacher did not like me.
Oh, I hate that.
So it wasn't really a comfortable environment to work in.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get back to the passion of singing and incorporating that into the character that I've created as a VTuber
Mm.
until I could really just sit down and just do my work in private.
Yeah. Have you thought about getting back into it?
I have thought about it. I've thought about getting back into theater and doing acting auditions. I even had a headshot ready
No.
for auditions, and I just haven't. I've only done one, and it was for a student film. It
Yeah.
was for a horror movie,
Yeah.
and they wanted me to do stunt work, and I was like, I've never done it before, but I'll do it. I'll try it. And then they went with somebody else, and I was like,
Oh.
at least I tried it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's no big deal.
Yeah. More will come. More will come. I would imagine trying to get back into that type of singing training, you can't just walk in and start over again where you were. There's probably a lot of voice training involved to use to hit those notes.
It's. I like to think that my singing skills have definitely helped with my voice acting.
Yeah.
I just I need to do more singing, especially as a bard. I feel like it's part of the branding, it's part of the territory. There may or may not be music in the works already.
Yeah. So you're just gonna throw that bomb on the stage, huh?
Oh yeah. Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe something's already in the works. Well,
Maybe.
I hope you get out there because I do a at least one music special a year. I'm planning to do so. I want to if you got a cover up and you're putting it on there, I would like to have it on the show if you can. Um, and there's just so many people that have such amazing talents in the VTuber sphere. Whether it's voice work, singing, some people are really good artists. Some people are good at some other things on there, whether it's crafting or something they put on. Um, how do you think that the VTuber community is going to go in the next few years? Will it expand audience wise?
I think so. I actually did a whole speech for my college class, how virtual creators are going to be the next wave of new marketing as we head towards, things being more virtual.
Mhm.
I was discussing about how we already had VTubers being promoted for baseball games. And I've seen a few VTubers like singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" for their hometown, and I want to do it for mine. I want to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" for the Tampa Bay Rays just like once. I would love to do that, or the Tampa Bay hockey,
Yeah.
the hockey team Lightning Bolts. I
Yes.
would love to sing for the Bolts.
Yes.
Um, because it's such a fun, new, fresh way to get people interested in it. Because if you tell somebody, yo, Gargoyle is going to be promoted at this event, people are going to show up. Or if they do like a KFC collab, I think that would be wild.
Oh yeah. That
So
would be
I
pretty wild.
think in terms of something like a little more indie, I think we'll definitely see more talents that we wouldn't even think of being showcased before. I mean, we already have a cosplaying VTuber. We have Anarchy,
Yeah.
who incorporates both of her cosplay content and her VTubing content together.
Hmm.
I know quite a few opera singer VTubers.
Yeah.
We already have a lot of artist VTubers, a lot of artists who make their own model. Maybe
Oh.
one is making mine right now. And
You're just doing this left and right, aren't you? You're just putting cliffhangers all over the place.
maybe I am. Maybe people should follow me and stay tuned. So I'm definitely ready to see what this new wave of talent will be bringing us.
Yeah, I look at it a lot like the old radio DJs right now. When we were just spinning the discs back then. Remember discs, everybody? um,
Yeah.
we you could hear the same song played on three or four different stations in the same market. You weren't less there's you were listening for the format maybe, but you could hear the song, but you came back for the personality of the person doing it. You can watch 1,000 people play Minecraft online if you really want to, but you're coming back for the personality of the person playing it. Um, and I think it's going to be so personality driven that it's going to remind people that are still old enough to remember DJs um, how enthralled they were at times with those folks who could, with their voice, really paint a picture for them. It's the next wave of that, and the to me the total audience hasn't even come close to being reached yet. There's so many people that would be entertained one way or another by somebody VTubing. It's nuts. Um, and people who are enjoying doing it from having 10,000 followers to 5 that are enjoying it, that too is gonna keep going too. And I probably wouldn't have done it if I was young enough, but I would just be the radio guy. But it I can see it continue to go. What would you consider yourself as a success um, in another year? What would be a good goal for you in a year?
Hmm. I think I personally need to succeed at just producing more content outside of streaming. I always keep saying, okay, I'm gonna get YouTube videos edited and published, and then I just never do it. Or, oh, I'm gonna edit more TikTok content, or oh, I'm finally gonna get this cover recorded, but I just never do it. So I think a success for me next year is being more consistent with creating content outside of streaming.
Hmm.
I think that's my biggest um like it's my biggest
Yeah,
sin as a content creator
yeah,
if you want to
yeah.
phrase it that way.
It's
I just don't do enough outside of streaming.
yeah. It does help advertise, and marketing is something that is going to be bigger for VTubers down the line once they realize how to market themselves. Um, and me coming from radio, it's not going to be quite the same as radio because in radio you're marketing against other stations. There is right now no reason to market against other VTubers. Um, there's the audience. The audience isn't finite yet. If it becomes finite, then you work against other people to try to draw people in. But there are so many people out there. Um, I look on Twitch and I see 3 or 4 people with several thousand folks watching. Uh, they're not competing against each other at the same time. There's not any point in it, and I hope that everybody learns that they need to work together to keep. First of all, bring everybody in, and then sort them out. I think that's going to be the best way to go to expand things. Um, for you at this point, are you where you wanted to be or did you have a goal when you set out to start?
I think I definitely do want to grow and expand more.
Uh huh.
I just understand that that comes from me. It's not going to come just by existing.
Hmm.
I need to figure out, kind of my rhythm for things. The reason why I'm variety is because I cannot decide what I'm streaming unless it's like absolutely set concrete
Yeah.
with like a collab or something, or I tell myself like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this.
Hmm.
But I think once I figure out my rhythm and I get more comfortable with being a little more like talking to an
Yeah.
audience
Yeah.
and being able to keep that flow going, because I do struggle with being a little bit low energy, especially because I'll work first thing in the morning and then I come home and then I'm tired, but I'm like, oh, I gotta stream.
Yeah.
And I really try to push myself to do it, but then I'll blank out in the middle of stream, and then there's like periods where I'm quiet, so I kind of just gotta figure out, you know, how to get the right flow going.
Yeah. Yeah. I suggest to some VTubers who have that problem, um, radio play-by-play people used to keep a hourglass, and they would it would be maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and when that hourglass ran out, then they would give the score of the game because they figure people are tuning in every few minutes and they want to know what's going on. If you're just rambling on and not saying anything, you're not being you're not helping your audience. I don't know whether it would help VTubers realize that, oh, it's been that long since I've, said who I am and thank you for being here and this is what we're doing. Uh, but anything that'll snap your head back in the game, I guess. And when something like
Yeah.
that happens, and that's just human to do that. That's that's how do you snap yourself back out of it when that happens?
Uh, Usually I will, because I have an Autobot set up
Mm,
and it's supposed to send a message every like 5 minutes or so.
mm-hmm.
If I realize, oh, I haven't said anything between this Autobot message and that one, I'm like, oh, I should probably log back in and refocus.
Yeah.
That it helps keep my pace going and help me kind of mentally keep track of where I am in a conversation or story.
Mm.
I do tend to burn through a story very quickly. Like I was retelling my trip to England, and what in my head I'm like, okay, I have all these things I'm gonna talk about, and then I burned through the whole thing in like 30 minutes when I could have gone to like an hour. And so I was rewatching my VOD, and I was like, oh, I missed this detail of the story, or oh, I
Yeah.
missed that. One thing I'm gonna start doing is like writing down things that happen or ideas
Yeah.
I want to talk about, and just kind of keep track of things
Mm.
so that way I can present it to the audience and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this happened today and
Yeah.
this is what happened," and then blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah. Outlines, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
an outline.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. It keeps an idea in your head. I know that ideas leave my head a lot quicker than they show up. So it is good to have that written out in some cases, as long as you're not doing a script, because people will know that in a hurry too. They are reading from a script. Um, that you can still sound spontaneous while doing it. I think that'll make a big difference.
I just like having a little guide to help me.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if you're going out to make a speech in front of people. Some people write the whole thing down on index cards, which is fine if that's what you need to do. Some people just write out keywords or an outline, like we mentioned, and they can ad lib off of that. Are you an ad libber?
Yeah, I'm an ad-libber. Constant improv.
That's another thing too. I did meet one VTuber doing this who was an improv comedian. And I'm kind of surprised that I haven't met more, because you really, in a live situation, you have to be fast on your um, vocal feet sometimes to get around certain situations and still keep things interesting. Is that a challenge for you, or do you look forward to that?
I think I do struggle to keep my streams a little interesting. Like I can admit that. I can admit that sometimes my streams can be a little boring,
Mm.
and I just need to be more cautious of keeping a momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I definitely will sometimes sit there and I'm like, damn, I'm being really boring right now. But then I start blanking and then I overthink. I'm like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? Which is why I definitely want to do the outlines of topics
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, as you don't get drugged down into the it's just getting worse. Why am I not saying anything? I need to say something now, but I don't know what to say. It's another 5 minutes since I said something.
Yeah, basically. It's why I think I'm stronger as a collab streamer,
Mm,
but I also want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet.
yeah.
But right now, lately I've been watching other content creators and just seeing how they operate when they're doing their own streams
Hmm.
and just seeing what I can learn off of that. I'm not trying to copy them, but just seeing what they do and kind of take notes and improve based on, how they're received and how my community and future community may want to perceive and uh, be entertained by me.
Oh yeah. Adapt, adopt, and improve is a lot of people's mottos and should be. I mean, if you see something, you can use a little piece of it, adapt it to what you're doing, um, make it a part of what you're doing, and then improve on it and make it a connection that it's yours. Um, that can be done all the time, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're not stealing. You're just learning how to do it, and you're that's why we study history, for crying out loud. We learn to either learn positively or negatively from mistakes, and that's why you're just doing scouting reports. That's all. Um, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Uh, about the games that you're playing, what type of games would you be playing if I tuned in here this week?
Uh, Tonight, June 30th, or excuse me, May 30th, I'll be playing with my VTuber father, Luvik. We're going to be playing Resident Evil 6. It's been a series we've been kind of doing, kind of going through each and every campaign. So we've already finished Leon, Chris's, and we're now on Jake and Sherry's story.
Yeah.
And it's been making for a really fun dynamic, especially because the game has been glitching on us, and
Oh,
there's been parts where we have to like restart the whole game
oh no.
because there's been glitches because the game is very, very buggy.
Oh,
And we're stuck in like the same loop,
ah.
and we'll get locked into auto dying in a certain spot. So it's been a hell of a time. It's been
Uh,
very chaotic.
oh my God.
Um, but outside of that, every so often, I will be streaming Marvel Rivals with members of my community or my esports team.
Hmm.
Every Sunday, I try to do a community night with my Discord server, whether that be gaming.
Hmm.
We've been doing repo lately, but I'm bringing back Dead by Daylight back into like my rotation of games.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do art streams because I am a fashion designer.
Mm. Now, fashion designing. Now we're talking. I mean, when did you get started with it? Was it something that you doodled around with early and then decided, this is pretty good. I'm going to keep trying it, or is this just something that has always been something you wanted to do?
So I started when I was making my first few Vroid models, but it wasn't making, I couldn't find outfits I wanted on Booth, but it was kind of hard to explain to artists like, hey, here's like 60 references for like one side of the outfit. So I started when I started like making references and outlines for other artists to work on my own character.
Hmm.
And eventually I was like, I could make the whole thing, even if it's rough, I can just, at least it's readable enough for an artist to see. And if they need clarification, I have a whole design. In fact, I'm going to look how long my last design Bible was. Without spoiling what it is, I have made a 15-page design Bible for another artist
Wow.
to work on my design for a future outfit.
Wow.
And I have like a mini essay for it and explaining the idea behind everything.
That's really nice.
Um,
That's when you see something like that come to fruition. How does that make you feel when you see the final product?
the original design of Takara was like a 30-page design Bible as well. And it was kind of similar to some old designs I did when I was first like creating the idea of my VTuber.
Hmm.
But I used to be a chronic Pinterest user.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, all these outfits would look nice on either me or my friends, and blah, 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 blah. So eventually, my friend Cherry was like, hey, I want to become a VTuber now. I've mainly been a faceless content creator.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about having like a face to a brand, like a theming.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, give me what idea you like, and then I'll try to pull something together. So Cherry, I have one design baby, and that's my friend Cherry Gothic, who is a cleric tiefling.
Oh,
And I actually have a few more outfits in store for them because I
yeah.
always get an idea. I'll be like, listen, I know you didn't request this, but here's a brand new fucking idea. I just have something that would look great on you, but not on me. I kept coming up with so many VTuber designs. I was like, listen, I can't be different VTubers,
Yes.
but I can make these cool concepts for maybe somebody else to enjoy.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's why I started doing art designs.
Man, it's something when you can tap into a a well of talent like that maybe you all of a sudden you hit this spring of ability and you just want to keep going at it and and keep showing what you can do and producing that sort of thing. I envy your ability to do that. But
I am somebody who cannot sit still.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's all I do. between you and me,
Always need to do something.
we'll average out. you can you can move.
I like to do so many different things, which is why like I'm a variety streamer because I can't decide what I want to do. You know, one day I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna stream some art today, or oh, let's grind and rank for Marvel Rivals, or oh, let's grind and rank for Naraka Blade Point, or oh,
Yeah,
let's grind in League of Legends tonight.
yeah.
That's
But it
it's
keeps.
so bad that I need to
Well, I know
really
it keeps it
finish
it
my
it
what I'm
keep
doing.
it keeps it interesting for you, doesn't it?
It does, but
Yeah.
I really should lock into what I need to do.
Oh, I don't know. I imagine that's a big part of the charm of it is that your ability to do all sorts of different things and your willingness to do them.
I think
Um,
sometimes my community is like, okay, she said on the schedule Saturday she's going to stream Final Fantasy. Will she actually do it or will she not? Stay tuned and find out.
there you go, you and your cliffhangers again.
Always.
Every few minutes, you just stick out a cliffhanger for somebody. that's that's
I
that's.
definitely didn't get diagnosed, but I think it's very obvious I have ADHD.
well, do they really have ADHD? Tune in next week and find out.
Tune in next week at my doctor's office.
Have the big old radio organ thing. Tune in next week.
Five donut, five gifted, and then we'll see if I have autism too.
There you go. Enough to pay for the doctor visit, and that'll work.
I'm gonna pay for my copay.
Well, these days anything is good to help with that sort of thing. Um,
Really.
the so you've got, I mean, this has really suited you, hasn't it? You've had a chance now to settle in, get some folks following you. Um, you're continuing to entertain people, and you're getting more and more comfortable with that too. It seems like a big win for you.
It's it's really working out well, and I really love being a VTuber because even though I won't completely play up a character, it lets me be a little bit more goofier than
Mhm.
if I guess if I was just like a faceless streamer, because then people are like, okay, what she's doing. But I think it's become a little more socially acceptable for me to be pretending when I first streamed as Dakar, I used to do like this like semi-British voice. I was like emulating Vexalia
Yeah.
from Legends of Vox Machina. I'm like, guys, I promise it's not British, it's just fantasy accent.
Yes.
Which is code for I'm just really bad at sounding British. So but eventually I kind of just dropped it because I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be natural. I'm just gonna be chill. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because playing up a character was more exhausting than just like, oh, I'll just be me. You know what? It
Mhm.
was gonna happen anyways.
Yeah.
So let me just play being myself
Yeah.
and just a little bit more energetic, a little bit more sillier, a little bit more chaotic than I would be in a normal conversation.
Yeah.
You know, to keep an audience interested. I can still be myself, but just adding a little bit of entertainment aspect to it.
When you're at your paying job as a waitress, and you're you're going through, I mean, it's never going to be easy to do that. And anybody who thinks it is should try it for about 5 seconds. You'll realize it's not. Is there any point in time where you come up to a table that's been particularly obnoxious and you you want to show them exactly the talents that you have and what you're doing online and show that really that you're more talented than they will ever be?
I don't really like to use it as a way to show off to people or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you know, it has come up in conversation once or twice. And someone was watching Dota and I was like, at first I thought it was League because it looked like League of Legends at first glance. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
are you playing League of Legends?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I'm just watching some Dota tournament." I was like, "Oh." He's like, "Oh, do you play League?" I was like, "I mean, yeah, I play League on my stream and blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you stream too?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we started a whole conversation about our content and what we like to do.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few times I did tell somebody what I did because
Mhm.
most of the time I don't because I
Yeah,
like to keep some extent of anonymity,
yeah,
or it's kind of like more of like an open secret, like, yeah, you kind of know who I am, but don't bring it up.
yeah,
If you're not like my close friend, I won't really tell you,
mm,
you know,
yeah.
my birth name or like my full location or whatever.
Social
But it
security
was one of the
number's
few
fine though.
times in public because it just kind of flows out of me sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes I just kind of spill the beans a little bit, but it's so far it's been okay.
yeah. It's just I would look at it and like here's a chance to go from a situation where you're kind of your responses are tied into the situations and how the management wants you to respond for however many hours you're working in a day. And now you get to open up your own world. You're in control of it. You make the rules, and you can let it all hang out if you want to.
Person, so I like creating my own space where I'm comfortable
Hmm.
because way too often I've been told I need to quiet down or be quiet or I need to be somebody else to make somebody else comfortable.
Hmm.
So being my own person when I stream is so important to me because I don't ever want to feel uncomfortable or anxious before I press go live.
Yeah.
Because when I press, go live and I'm ready to present myself to the audience, this is me being me a little bit more extra flamboyant. Now, of course, I'll be more appropriate when I'm in a group setting or I'm in a collab that's more calmer. But when I'm just being myself, I just want to unapologetically be myself. That's why I make so many lewd jokes. That's why I'm very open about, my real personality because why would I want to hide that? There is no reason for me to muddle myself down to be more digestible. I want to just be me and have the audience accept me for me.
Oh, they're doing it, and they're going to keep doing it because I think that you're extremely talented, and you've
Thank
got a
you.
really good mindset for this. It's just gonna be like where the opportunities come up and where it lands on the board, and you get that resume out with a voice sample, and people are going to hear it, and a lot of people are going to hear from Takara Moonstar. I can tell you that.
Truly, they will.
I think they will, and I really hope you come back for more because I want to get updates on what you're up to. Because for
Check
one,
back with me after the summer. There definitely will be a lot of things coming soon over the summer.
and there you go again, another cliffhanger. It's like you hung them all over this interview.
Truly, I do. This is what I mean. Like, I have so many ideas. I just need to commit to finishing them. So, this interview, everything I've dropped here in this interview is a promise that everything I dropped, I will finish at some point.
I see. I've learned just to not promise things.
I like to put a little bit of pressure on myself
Yeah.
to finish things.
Well, I tell you, it's
Because
it's
if I
good for
don't put pressure, I'm never going to finish it and I will completely forget.
it's good for the audience because they get to hear from an extremely talented person, and we get to too. And I'm going to have all the links we've been able to find for you up on the description of this video. And Takara, I hope we get you back real soon. And thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.